Yo, what is going on, everybody? And welcome back to It's in the Blood. Been a hot minute since I've been around. Been doing other things. We did the brackets, and I'm having internet issues, so I better not start the day this way. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. Test 1, 2. Not sure how this is working out. Let's see here. Okay. So the camera's not giving me what I want it to right now, but it looks like the audio is functioning properly. Okay, so that's good. Back to what we was talking about. We are cruising into draft season. Draft is coming up for the NFL. Got a ton to talk about there. Not necessarily today, but we're going to roll through this like champs. Today, I did have intentions on talking about. Let me go through my list here and get it brought up. We are going to talk about some changes at Indiana basketball this year. Finally got some things that have kind of happened and went over the top. I've kept my mouth shut for the last 3 or 4 weeks, basically waiting for this to kind of play out and see where it was going to end up. Ticks me off right now that my internet is acting funny at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Welcome in, Puppet, Tom, and Lindsay. Good to see you guys. All I see is a disaster happening on my screen over here, so I'm kind of worried about it. I can't tell you what's working and what isn't. Hold on. It is the proverbial nightmare so far today. Stop downloading corn. I don't know what downloading corn is, but I understand what you meant. Actually, I had a computer failure happen this last week. I knocked it over, and that was really not good. So the way right now, I'm not exactly sure how. If you guys can't hear what's being said, just kind of say it, and then I will get this thing squared away. Hopefully it'll square itself away. It looks like it's fixing itself now. Yes. So Darren DeVries, first topic of conversation for me today, comes out of West Virginia to be the head coach at Indiana. Before anybody gets all up in arms and basically says, hey, he comes with a built-in superstar in his son who has one more year of eligibility. Kudos for that. But us as fans, us as people that watch and love and fight games with a passion, let's let this guy do his job, right? He comes in here with a plan. He's given a contract. I'm not sure the details, but I'm going to assume that he got 5 years. The one thing that we can do as fans, being here on the internet with things like X and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, we can effectively start a downward trend for any one person that we want to if we join together. Then you get people like me, armchair quarterback here, that has something to say, and you get enough people watching what you say, and then everybody starts to believe it to be truth. And what happened at Indiana over the last few years is the one thing I can say is that now we've decided that a 620 winning percentage is not good enough. We've decided that it takes more to satisfy this fan base in this university. You bring a coach in that's trying to create a culture. Mike Woodson didn't win all the games that he should have. He didn't bring us to national notoriety again. He tried. They put forth the money. They got the type of players that it took. They just never came together good enough at the right time to get there. So with that being said, effectively, the fans, the media ran him out of town a year early. What happened inevitably is that as a coach, once the fog was lifted and the pressure was taken off of him, not being held down by NIL and responsibilities, at the end of this season played the lineup that deserved to play, and they inevitably almost made the NCAA tournament. Darren DeVries ought to be the length of his contract before we decide to just treat him with ridicule. He is the same kind of coach as Archie Miller was. This was his first year in a major conference school. He brought a team back from 10 games under to 6 games over, 19-13, was just ahead of us in the rankings, did an admirable job. Now, as fans of Indiana, we need to shut up and let him do his job, because anybody can come out here and say what he needs to say. Let's let him get the right kids in here. Let's rebuild the culture. Let's start recruiting at home, and let's get this moving in a direction that it needs to move. Good luck, Mr. DeVries. Good luck, Tucker DeVries. All the kids from Indiana that left, I wish you all the best. Gabe Cupps, congratulations on going to Ohio State. I'm going to miss you. Ja'Kai Newton, I wish you would have got more chance to play. I wish this wouldn't have worked out the way that it did for you. And the rest of you guys, best of luck. You've all got talent. I hope you learn how to play defense and do something well in your future. Number 2 today. Cincinnati Bengals have spent the money to bring back both of their wide receivers. They shopped Trey Hendrickson on the open market, did not find anybody that was willing to pay what they needed. Did not find anybody on the market that was willing to trade what they were asking. And I don't think Trey found the money he was looking for. That's okay. That's kind of where we expected that to go. Cincinnati does Bengals does their free agency in a certain manner. I believe Trey Hendrickson will be on the field. I believe he'll get an extension. I believe it'll be, I don't believe it's going to be $30 million a year, but I bet you if he doesn't get an extension, he'll get a nice pay raise for this season. So with that being said, everything what you expect from Cincinnati is going to be there. They're going to have a 9-8 team starting the season. They lost a few pieces in free agency. I'm going to sneeze. They replaced Lou Anarumo at defensive coordinator. That was kind of like a witch hunt. Got to blame somebody, right? Lou did a pretty good job. Al Golden is basically the same type of DC. They're going to, if they can improve a few spots on defense, their offense is going to be right where it needs to be. Welcome back, Samaje Perine. Perfect for third down. Having your backfield kind of lined out with Chase Brown and Samaje looks to be a very interesting group. I look forward to seeing that. Samaje on third down was always an excellent back. And glad to have him back. I know he's a few years older now, but it is what it is. We need a couple pieces on defense. Getting the secondary ironed out with who's going to start, who's going to effectively play well under this new system. Middle linebacker, getting that section fixed and getting it ready to rock and roll. Also, Puppet dropped a 5 in there. 4 more of those, and next Friday or Saturday, whenever we are back on, I will drag Kicking and Screaming. I will find a way the next live stream to make sure that Miss Alex is in here to talk some Chiefs. Talk some Chiefs. She might even talk some Lakers, because that is a possibility. I do not understand what is going on with my video today, but hopefully my audio is good. With Puppet leading the charge. There's Mr. Adam Yo. So that's the goal. 3 more of those, and I drag Alex in here kicking and screaming next week. If I can figure out why I am having these issues, but that's okay. Put a leash and a muzzle and drag her here. Will do. If this might be what it takes to lure her in the spring. Okay. So back to the Bengals. They have, I think, about 16 million left over. I think they're going to have enough to do an extension for Trey Hendrickson. They might go get another body in free agency, and it's going to come down to what they can draft and develop. I think that is going to be the issue. And I think they're going to be about the same team. Do I think they've improved? Not so much on the improvement. I think they're basically going to start the season in the same boat. She does not hate you. I'm going to tell you that kid has put forth a ton of work. She has been working 2 jobs. I think she's worked the last 20 days straight, if I'm not mistaken. And I think she's going to work out. She's supposed to have a day off next week. My goodness, this is horrible. If you could see what I'm looking at over here, you would understand that I'm having a hard time. No, there's no hatred on Alex's part. We're going to get past the Cincinnati Reds. I will be doing 1 Reds game per week for the most part this year. There might be some nights where I don't get those done, but I will be in here for baseball. For those of you that are baseball fans, I think this team is a middle of the pack team. Same thoughts, middle of the road. They're going to be somewhere around 75 to maybe 80 wins if they're lucky. If Francona can get them to play like they used to play, or like he has done with teams in the past, then that will be a good thing. All right. And Puppet has just did it. Puppet says, the Discord is dead. She ain't worked no 2 jobs. She's lying. Fake wannabe. Julius from everybody hates Chris. Listen, I'm telling you, it's absolutely facts. She is working. She will be here. Puppet, and she's going to be here just for you. We're going to dedicate at least 5 minutes to talk about the greatness, which is Puppet Master. Yeah, and the Discord being dead isn't completely on her, to be honest. I am not a very big Discord guy. I message Adam on Discord. That's about it. Every time there's a lot of there's a lot of people in there. $25. I expect 25 minutes. I will do my best. I am not sure what is happening here today, but let me start closing some things out of here, see what's going on. I don't see anything wrong. That's what's bothering me. I do want to say the Detroit Lions offseason, Ringo, it's very complicated. The Lions are going to bring back essentially a very similar roster. So guess what? They look like they're going to be a competitive team. It's not camera settings. They do look like they're, because I just dropped it down. I dropped my camera settings back to, I dropped the camera settings all the way back. I don't know what's happening today. This is different. So they're gonna rebuild a roster. They're gonna rebuild their season next year with new coaches. And when you bring in new coaches, you bring in new philosophy. Guys aren't going to fit in just the same. I look for the first half of their season to be kind of, let's just say the first 8 games, I think they're going to be kind of meh. I think they're going to be somewhere between 4-4, maybe 5-3. I think that there's going to be there's going to be a lot of learning curve with new coaches. I don't think you just I don't think you just start back exactly where you were as the number 1 seed in your conference. I think you're going to take a little step back. We'll see how that works. I'm not 100% positive, and I wish I could do something with this camera. I don't think that I can. Let me try one more thing. I don't know if this will work or not, but I'm going to try. We'll see how this goes, because everything else seems to be working fine. Test 1, 2. I'm trying to figure out why I can hear it. Oh, I know. All right, are you there? Whoops, I still hear it. Test. So whatever it is, I fixed, but I got another issue. Give me 2 seconds. All right, test 1, 2. Okay. I think that kind of helped for the short term. Let's go. So back to what we were talking about. The Detroit Lions are going to be, they're not technically in a rebuild. They're rebuilding their coaching staff, and I think they're going to have some issues. I don't think that staff is going to be 100% ready to rock. Anytime you change coordinators, line coaches, everything is different. I think it comes with a price, and I think that Detroit is going to spend the first half of the season trying to rebuild from behind. Anybody else that has any questions while I finish talking about the Reds, I'm going to go into general topics next, just so that we can get through some stuff. But as far as the Reds go, I think they're a middle of the road team. I think Terry Francona is going to be a good coach for them. Looking forward to seeing what they can do in the future, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that roster is ready to win. However, I will be in here for some of that. I am telling you, this thing is crazy today. I'm going to go ahead. Nice to see Matt McClain back. Some of the stuff that I've been reading about today is NIL and where that money comes from. I'm kind of been working on some stuff because I'm going to test it out for next year and see how it pans out. Not today, Adam. Not doing any NCAA games today, but I think the Elite Eight. I think I might make it in for 2 of the Elite Eight games, maybe 1, and definitely the Final Four, and definitely the national championship. By the way, I think from everything you can look at, Duke is a standout, head above water. I think the Duke versus Bama game tomorrow, I think, is a Final Four type of game because Alabama's probably playing as well as anybody in the country right now, and we'll see how they line up. I think it's going to be a game that's in the 90s. I think it's going to be a high-scoring matchup. Look forward to that. I look forward to my Big Ten tonight showing well. I hopefully will get 2 of them Final 8 in there, and I'll be happy. Yeah, Bama. I think the Bama Duke game might be one of the toughest ones going down the road for the Blue Devils. I went through today and I was looking at everything about that team, and everything about that team shows a university that has the pedigree to win basketball games. It doesn't necessarily matter who the coach is. Cooper Flagg getting $4.8 million was a big part of that because he is the best player in the country. I was kind of shocked at that number. I didn't think it was that high. It really showed out well that they had and out of the top 60 players in the country this year, it showed that they had about 3 or 4 that ranked overall top 60. And then with guys like Mason Gillis coming in off the bench that have years of experience from like Purdue and stuff like that, definitely looked like a chance to go ahead. It's 4.7. So I started looking to see where that money comes from, how it gets there. And it's really strange how different schools get their NIL money and how they distribute it between football and basketball. Most college basketball teams, I believe it was somewhere their teams generated anywhere from 20 to 55 million in like ticket sales and stuff like that. And then contributions, outside contributions for some teams are very low. For others, it's very high. So they have collective groups for each of the teams. Something that I'm really going to address this year going forward, because I know I'm going to have plenty of time to read and study it. But NIL is definitely an interesting thing, and I don't like it. So I go into it with the mindset that I don't like it, and I'm going to try to beat it up. But the way the teams come up with their money, the SEC has been pretty dominant this year, and there's a lot of teams in that conference that really put forth the money to be winners. So there's a lot of great coaching in the SEC as well. So I suspect that we're going to see a pretty SEC heavy Final Four, and probably the lone ACC team that was really on top of their game this year will be a national champion. Back through that, NFL as a whole, you've got to look back and if you want to just rate the offseason, I'm going to go ahead and say that, and as much as I hate to say it, I think Buffalo is the big winner in the offseason this year. I think they've really done things to bolster their chance to move forward. With that being said, I don't think anybody else in the East has increased their chances of dethroning Buffalo, except for maybe New England. And believe it or not, New England looks like a team that's ready to jump to leapfrog. Who knows what you're going to get with the Jets, and the Dolphins just look like the Dolphins. They look like a team that is just kind of in a holding pattern. So I think Buffalo so far is winning free agency as a whole. I think they're probably the one team. If I want to pick a team that I think is losing this year, I'm going to go all the way out to the West Coast. I'm going to say it's going to be San Francisco, as they're revamping their entire defense, letting 4 starters walk this year in free agency, which is not very Kyle Shanahan-like, but maybe a little changing of the guard out there to try to bring the Niners back up. But so far, I don't think it's been their type of season. Debo to the Commanders, I could see that. The writing was on the wall during the season for that. I saw that coming. But Washington's up there in my top 5. Crafty says, I would have voted delete the channel. Then I remembered that I'm co-funding it. Well, Crafty, the whole point of the deal is this year is we're making it a point, and I'm especially making it a point to be here a lot more often. Well, what? My blood drop is now a shark? Yeah, it changes depending upon how long you've been a member. And Crafty, I appreciate the membership. Means a lot to me, sir. That is one of the things that helps us get there, is that, you know what? Great people to hang out with and talk with. We've done a little baseball talk. I know that Crafty Southpaw reeks in your name, so I thought that, I was just basically talking like I don't think Francona is got the Reds where they need to be yet. Might take a year. but we're going to be in here for some baseball games, so get that ready. Yeah, Puppet's a member too when someone gifts it to him. Some of you are there. But that being said, going through Major League or NFL, the best and the worst so far, in my opinion, was Buffalo for off season. I really think is actually a boxing reference, though. I can see that. Every time I see the term southpaw, it always makes me think of the junk ball left-handed pitcher, you know. So, but fair enough. Sorry for the video today. I don't think it's working very well, but hopefully the audio is, because that's okay. Because at the end of the day, the podcast is where most of our views comes from, believe it or not. So, reminds me of Tony Hawk too. Yeah. So baseball is on the charts for this year. Next weekend, whenever I can get her in for a live stream, whether it be Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, she will be here, and we're going to talk about Puppet at least for 15 minutes. I don't know about 25. I don't know that there's enough to say about Puppet for 25 minutes, but for 15 minutes at least, we're going to talk about Puppet. Going forward, any other questions out there? So who's the winner of the Aaron Rodgers race? Well, I think the only person that wins that race is Aaron Rodgers, because he seems to be the only person that's willing to sit there and be the drama queen of the NFL. And by that I mean, let's just go back and say he takes the Brett Favre route. He might not be signed until August. Could he go to Pittsburgh? I guess. But, it just seems like that there's still a possibility in my brain that he ends up in Minnesota, and it's a late season roster ad. I don't know. I kind of got that feeling. I just feel like he's trying to weasel out another 2 years from somebody. I don't think anybody wants to give him a 2-year deal. I think he wants, and I think that's what he wants. So I think he's just going to sit there until he finds the right team that pays the right amount of money. Aaron Rodgers is finna join the 49ers. They don't have a quarterback no more. I disagree. I'm not a Brock Purdy fan, but Mac Jones was Kyle Shanahan's favorite out of that draft, or one of his favorites out of that draft. And I think if Purdy stumbles a little bit, I think Mac Jones can play in that offense. And Aaron Rodgers, I was sitting there trying to think where would be the best home for Aaron Rodgers. And I'm still not sure he's not a Tennessee Titan. But I don't think he's going to make a choice. I don't think he's going to go pick anywhere to play until after the NFL draft is over with, because the last thing he wants to do is be Kirk Cousins. He doesn't want to go to a team that's going to draft a quarterback in the first round. Mac Jones is a system quarterback just like Brock Purdy. He can do just as good. That's a fact. Kyle Shanahan knew in the draft process that Mac Jones would have worked in San Francisco. Those are facts. I'll take my backup any day of the week. I'll take Jake Browning to go 4-2 in 6 games if I need him to. Absolutely. No Aaron Rodgers in Cincinnati, because that's the last thing Cincinnati needs as some kind of prima donna. I think Russell Wilson's the big winner. Those 2 wide receivers in New York, Neighbors and the kid from Kentucky, those 2 guys are explosive. They're going to give him a lot of yards. I think Russell Wilson's going to have a nice looking season in New York. They may not win 10 games, but I bet you the Giants look a little bit better this year with those two guys to throw the ball to. I feel like that's a win right there for Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers should have jumped all over the New York Giants job. Aaron Rodgers is a locker room cancer. Aaron Rodgers is he's just delusional in his 40s. He had everything going for him in Green Bay, and I'm not sure what his major malfunction is. I just don't feel like he wants to play. See you all later. About to drive home. Puppet, much love, brother. I will see you next week. I will post a thumbnail, and I will post the time early so that anybody that wants to have a chance to see Miss Alex will have the opportunity to do so. Peace out. College football. I'm real excited again. Coach Cignetti did a great job for Indiana. I'm really curious to how his second season is going to look. I really want to see if he can replicate what he did in year one. If they go 10-2 this year, I will be a believer. Coach Cignetti has got a really nice looking class of players coming in, a lot better, a little bit more money spent for the roster and NIL. So I'm very hopeful that they play very well this year. As far as the rest of it goes, I already saw something where they're talking about expanding the field once again. Man, I don't like that at all. It's too many football games into the month of January for college, especially when these guys are wanting to get ready for the NFL. I think they need to back it up a little bit. I would like to see it go back from 12 to 8, but that's just me. Did you see Grassi's recent video of Rodgers sitting on a beach? What if I show up in the Vikings locker room and then refuse to leave? I think that's possible. So here we go. We're just going to call out my thoughts right now. Thought number one, Aaron Rodgers does not sign a contract until after the draft. If he doesn't sign a contract within a week or two after the draft, he'll be sitting there waiting for a phone call in August. And wherever he goes, then he's going to play for the most amount of money he can get. I don't think it's about fit. I don't think it's about situation. I bet it'll be about money. Just a guess. Yeah. So there we have JB goes to Tucson, Arizona. Tired of the snow. Yeah, that British Columbia snow up there and Tucson, Arizona are two vastly different places. You went from each extreme hell side of the planet. One cold, one warm. So good luck in Tucson. That is a very hot place to be. Also, thank you for the single like over on the Facebook side. Definitely appreciate that as we are trying to slowly grow over there as well. Quick recap for JB since you just got here. My hope is that the fan base and the local media for the Indiana Hoosiers basketball team allows this coach to coach out his contract without ridicule, without ruining recruitment for kids, because Braylon Mullins was told that Mike Woodson wasn't worth it and went to UConn, which Braylon Mullins may be a flip now that Danny Hurley went off the deep end, and we may have an opportunity to get him back. But yes, everybody that's pretty much on the Indiana roster currently, I think Luke Goody's appealed for his an extra year of eligibility. I believe he's the only one. Tucker DeVries, Coach DeVries' son, will be in. 100% to IU. Trent Sisley, the 4-star recruit, will be in as well. After that, I don't think there is a single soul on the roster, as Bryson Tucker entered the transfer portal today. Miles Rice, Kenan Carlisle, they are both in there. So when it comes down to it in a year or two, you're never going to hear me sit and just bash. I'm gonna stick with the process, and that's why I got quiet in the fall, because once I realized that Coach Woodson wasn't in control of who played on that roster, then I shut up, because once he was basically announced that he wasn't going to be there anymore and he was going to play the team as he saw fit the rest of the season, and guys like Anthony Leal and Luke Goody got dominant roles in there, and then the other guys just had to work their way up for playing time, the roster got better. And that really told me that NIL contracts, I don't know how they work. That's my study this offseason. I'm going to learn what goes into an NIL contract. I'm going to look to see what expectations people get for playing time, what expectations people have for transfer portal moves, what that looks like. I'm going to learn about it this year. I know some of it's not really, some of it's public, some of it's hard to get a hold of, but I'm going to figure it out so that I understand it, so that I can speak more educated about it next year. However, Darren DeVries is basically Archie Miller coming in again. Or if Archie Miller would have went to a major college for 1 year first. So Darren DeVries did a nice job at Drake. He comes from a great coaching tree, Dana Altman and Greg McDermott. Those guys know how to get it done. That's where he comes from. You know, all I want to see is how much in-state recruiting becomes important. I want to see how important it becomes for them to maintain kids within the state and not lose them to places like, no offense to Adam, but places like Duke and North Carolina and Alabama, Auburn. We don't need to lose our in-state top kids to other programs outside of the state. That's just the way we don't want to see it happen. I look like Texas Tech, right? I was enamored with their run this year. So, but 50% of those kids that are on that roster are in state. I feel like there's a certain culture when you get kids that want to be in that university from the state that it's in or really close by, proximity kids, right? Or kids with their parents that have ties, whatever. You want kids that want to be there. And I think that's first and foremost. After that, you go after certain ones that meet your culture outside of that. That's what, and I'm sitting here talking smack, but that's exactly what Duke does. Duke goes after the kids that they know have the right pedigree to play there. And then they look for the diamonds in the rough that are semi-local. And then after that, they pick the best available and then pick through the transfer portal only certain quality of kid. They don't have to be the best player to go to Duke. They have to be the smartest player. They have to be the guy that is a glue guy on the floor. That's how that team continually gets better and has this roster for this season. I couldn't pick Duke to win the national championship because I'm not a Duke fan. However, they're the best team in the tournament. They may not have the best coach in the tournament, but they're the best team in the tournament. They have all the resources they need to win, and they should win. Should high school basketball go back to be division and not the multiple divisions based on school enrollment? Bro, I come from the state where that is king, right? You go back to the movie Hoosiers, and Little Milan, Indiana wins the state title, and Gene Hackman is your coach there. And I don't particularly care. I think that you play teams in your region, and you should have to be able to beat the bigger teams. Yeah, I didn't say he was the best coach. I wouldn't even say I don't even know that he's a top 5 coach yet. I'm sorry. There's a certain thing to be said. I think in this tournament, I think there's 5 coaches that I would rank above him. but that doesn't mean he's not going to be there and that he's not adequate. It just means that I don't think he's top 5 coach in the tournament. I would definitely put there's definitely guys that you could put above him, and it's not based on anything other than experience. So, but yeah, just look at it. It's going to be that way for a hot minute. Yeah. That's a pretty good resume. You're absolutely correct. But a guy that has 3 good years, you don't put that guy in as elite. It's because he's had a good run. There's going to come times when he doesn't have the roster, doesn't have exactly everything the way he wants it, and what he does with those seasons is where it's going to be determined whether he's a great coach or not. There's a lot of guys you could have put in that spot with the roster from the last 3 years, and they won. Fair enough. But I mean, maybe it's getting closer. There's other coaches out there that do more with less. I mean, those guys are the ones that are doing the admirable jobs. I'm just saying that you put Joe Schmo in a Corvette and he can drive fast. He is getting better the longer he coaches. I never said that he's not going to be great. I'm just saying that he's not necessarily great now because anybody can drive a Corvette 100 miles an hour. There's no negativity about that. None whatsoever. But yeah, especially with his age, he's got a chance. He's got a chance to be Krzyzewski-like. It just depends on how he handles roadblocks that are going to come. Sooner or later, he's going to hit roadblocks. And that's what's going to determine the quality of coach that he is. Until he hits roadblocks, all is good. All right. Anybody got anything else? Free agency, college football, men's basketball, baseball. Yeah, that's a great pedigree, right? That's a great pedigree. That's the kind of pedigree that Indiana fans have been looking for years. If they would have gave Mike Woodson the job in 2000 when Mike Davis was relieved of his duties instead of going down this road, Panthers offseason so far. I do have thoughts on the Panthers offseason. I think our conversation the other day says it all. I think it's another day of getting it squared away. I think they're going to be better. I'm going to give them preseason. I'm going to give them preseason the opportunity to compete in the South. Like I said, that's a long climb, and they're getting better on every aspect of it. I think they're going to compete for the South. That may mean a playoff spot. Do you think Dion will set the coaching market? I don't think most NFL teams really want Deion Sanders as a coach. Colorado, I think I read today that Colorado, and good to see you, Pookie, and Colorado just spent a ton of money trying to extend. I think they extended him, but Dion was a special athlete. He's obviously got the voice to recruit for college, but I don't think the NFL is going to be where he ends up. I think he likes the college game because he gets to be GM. He gets to be the coach. He gets to be the big man on campus. Colorado may not be his last stop in college, but I think he's going to stay in college. I don't think there's a situation in the NFL other than Dallas that he might find interesting. But once again, uber talented, but I'm just not sure how good a coach he actually is. It's the same argument. He can recruit, he can get the players, but I don't think Colorado is going to contend for. If Colorado makes the playoff, is more money than the national championship coach. Yeah, I mean, Colorado wants to keep him. He's great for recruiting. He's great for probably NIL. I just don't think he's that guy. Like, if I had to take my choice, watch this. I'll do an Adam take here. If I had to take my choice, do I want Jon Scheyer as a basketball coach, or do I want Deion Sanders as a football coach? I'm going to take Jon Scheyer as a basketball coach, because there's a big difference there. Can I have a conversation with Jon Scheyer? I bet I could. Could I convince Jon Scheyer that I got his back and that he just needs to coach basketball? Absolutely. Deion is just too much about being in the prime time. Brewers Prospecting's in the house. What up, Jeff? How are you doing, my dog? How's the weather where you're at? Yeah, he's not. He's in a conference now that, hey, if he makes a playoff and increases it with the losses that he's had from his offense and defense this year, if he makes a playoff next year, we can start talking about that. I just don't think he's going to win in major conference that much yet. Nice to hear, bro. I'm up and down right now. I get cold and then warm. Is he making more than Brain Day? I don't know what that means. Scheyer goes out there and does his job. Coaches wins games. Deion only won games at Jackson State, and then they played nobody. Colorado is getting better. Yeah, but with those kids being gone, we'll see what kind of job he does this year. And then I don't think he's worth a conversation yet. How's that? It's you could go ask Jerry Jones if he wanted Deion or Schottenheimer coaching his team this year. I'm sure he's going to say Schottenheimer. But yeah, that's where we're at. Deion is a newsmaker. He's a guy that can go out there and make a statement. I'm just not sure that he is a top 5 coach, top 10 coach for college football ever. We'll see. He may have to go back to Jackson State to do so. Strangers in the house, who dey? The Ohio State. Ryan Day is a good coach. They were ready to fire Ryan Day. See, that just goes to tell you that these teams in high Division I college, Power 4 conferences, that tells you that these teams are a lot closer together in talent than what you think. Because the fans, after Michigan went to Ohio State and won that game, and then the world was coming to a close, and then he goes out and wins a national championship because he had the best roster, he had the best coaches, he had the best of everything, and they just pulled it together, went out and did it. They needed adversity to get them fired up, and they did it. It's the same problem that you've had for decades in Chicago. Too many people have too much influence over what the teams do. It came together perfectly. If you peak too early in college football, if you peak in November and lose your college championship game, you're out. You don't make the playoff. But if you get better as the season goes along and you come together and you take one tough loss down the stretch and you make the playoff and you get on a run, that's it. That's where you can be great. But I think it's the same. I think it's the same problem that everybody has, right? Media and fans running their freaking pie holes about how they know what's best for a team. They don't have a clue. Unless you're intimately in the organization, you don't have a clue. Pookie, I told you for years that your ownership and fan base sucks. Chicago football ownership sucks. They're going to find a way to ruin this deal too. They did really good so far this off season. Did I know the Notre Dame coach was a Bear? I didn't. He's a good coach. But it's the same perspective. New York has a tendency to do the same thing in football. They have a tendency just to let the media ruin the players. I'm not doing tonight's games. He was cut. That's awesome. Ooh, late, Adam. It'll be about a 9:00 start, I believe. I think we're doing a late thing tonight. I'll explain why elsewhere, but I think we're going to start playing, or I'm going to start playing a little bit later, just because of analytics, basically. Anybody hanging out got any other thoughts, questions about a team? I've read and studied about a ton of them. Sweet. I appreciate it. It's Cam Ward will probably be the first pick in the draft. I like the kid. I think he's very humble from where he comes from, working his way up. I enjoy that. I still think that this quarterback draft is pretty miserable. I love the Patriots off season. Dude, I think they've moved up in the East. The Patriots offseason reminds me a little bit of Carolina's offseason, right? They found ways to get better almost at every position. Drake May will be in his second year. I think Joshua Dobbs is now his backup. Tell me that. I mean, I like that you got Andy down there with your quarterback in Carolina, but Josh Dobbs may be the smartest quarterback in the NFL. So, the Jets, right? The Jets, are they going to continue to ruin Justin Fields? Justin Fields has potential. He's just got to be put with somebody to coach him. 4-2 in Pittsburgh. Will the Jets ruin him? That's a question. Rodgers isn't sitting out. Rodgers, if you were here earlier, the take on Aaron is that he's not going to sign with anybody until after the draft, and that's because he doesn't want to end up in a Kirk Cousins situation. Kirk Cousins took all that money from Atlanta, then they drafted a quarterback in the first round. I look for Aaron Rodgers to sign a late contract, just like Brett Favre did back in the day, and he'll pick a team that pays him the most money and potentially gives him a second year. I like Justin Fields in New York because of him being matched with Garrett Wilson, who was insane, who he has insane chemistry with. Yeah, I thought about that too. The one thing that they've got to do in New York effectively for anybody playing the quarterback position is protect the quarterback. And that means that line has got to be shored up. Aaron Rodgers was playing very decent at the end of the season. So I feel like it was coming together, but Justin Fields is going to be a different type of offense. New coaching staff, everything's going to be different. How they mesh early is going to be super important. But Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields, awesome. Do I think he'll be a Steeler? I don't think the Steelers want. I don't think the Steelers want him in the locker room. Listen, Tom, The possibility of Aaron Rodgers being a Viking is real. Just because they couldn't agree to terms right now does not mean that that's not going to be the best situation for him in August. The Jets ruined the Jets. I don't think Robert Saleh had much of a choice. Robert Saleh had a better record with Zach Wilson than he did Aaron Rodgers. The Jets have got culture issues. That's why they have a new coaching staff. San Francisco, who I have been hard on so far this offseason about losing everybody in free agency, and I know that they're trying to get money to pay Purdy, but at the end of the day, I don't think they have to pay Purdy that much, and letting Robert Saleh run that defense, if he gets a few guys the way he wants it, he will be competitive, and I think Shanahan knows that. They fired the GM in the Jets. Yeah, the Jets removed everybody. Joe Douglas was crap all the way around. There's no culture in New York. I have not seen culture in New York football. I can't tell you since when. I can't remember a time where I felt like the culture in New York was good. Tom's like, they better not bring him to Minnesota. You know, I still think there's a distinct possibility that he could still be a Titan. He could still be a Steeler, but Pittsburgh's not going to pay him. I think Russell Wilson made the best choice in free agency. I think the Giants have an improving O-line. They have a nice running back going into his second season, and they've got two little wide receivers that can absolutely kill it to throw the ball to. I think Russell Wilson made the best choice thus far. You're going to see somebody like Ryan Tannehill come back out of the closet. He'll make it back in this year. Tannehill, you never can tell. I don't think Atlanta is going to let go of Cousins. I think Atlanta is going to hold on to him because he's an asset. He just couldn't get it together last year due to injury. Once he's 100%, he might be back on the field. Michael Penix may not be on the field very long. J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota, I think he's going to be the real deal. Yeah. Rodgers is just that guy, though. He's a drama queen. But if Minnesota would have offered him a contract then, I think they just mutually agreed that there was nothing that they were going to do just yet. Because think about it. If the Vikings wanted to not upset the balance, they would have just re-signed Darnold. I mean, he only got $8 million more per season to go to Seattle. I think Darnold's contract ended up being $100 million, 3 years, $33 million. Congratulations to that guy too. He definitely earned it. But he is not much different than Brock Purdy in that system. But going to Minnesota, would you like to throw the ball to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and have a tight end? And I mean, they just had everything to throw to. That's the place anybody would want a quarterback. It's amazing that at 42 years old that Aaron Rodgers is still a topic of conversation. Adam, did the video ever square away? Doesn't look like it, does it? All right. 1 minute before the top of the hour. Does anybody have anything else before we close this down? Also, be looking for Harbaugh got 3 years. Harbaughs are worth 3 years. I'm going to close the poll. My computer is crazy. 14% of you think that would enjoy a weekly podcast, or 14% of you would enjoy me deleting the channel. That is awesome. I thought that number would actually be higher. I got 7% said no. The only conversation I have about Rodgers is when he's going to retire. I mean, he's already checked out. He's not giving anything to anybody. Weekly podcast, it is. Thursday or Fridays for sure is when that's going to be, between the hours of 6 and 8, depending upon when I can lure in Miss Alex. That is specifically next week. If Puppet wants to keep donating to the Alex Fund, then I will continually drag her back. Pookie, nice to see you, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. Good luck in Chicago this year. You're getting better. You're still going to need some luck. Don't think you're over the hump yet. Hopefully your media doesn't get impatient and run another quarterback and coach out. He is taking spots from younger quarterbacks, but I think this is his last hurrah. He's like at the top of he's like getting ready to go off into the pasture and retire, and he wants to make as much noise as humanly possible. I just want to see nobody want him and him have to retire because nobody wants him. Because I've never liked him. I thought he was cancerous in Green Bay, even in the last few years there. You know, all the talking. But best of luck to everybody. Pookie, good luck Bears. Adam, good luck Panthers. Tom, good luck Vikings. Who else? Oh, that's been a while since anybody else has chatted. I don't even know. I know we got a Packers fan or two somewhere lingering. Everybody else, have a great night. See you all soon. I'll be playing video games later tonight. Anybody wants to come find me? Peace out.